Good morning, folks. My name is Hitzemann, County Court Judge here in Hernando County. You folks are here for your first appearance. The purpose of the first appearance is so that you may be informed of the charges against you. I'll determine if there's probable cause for those charges. Probable cause simply means that it's more likely than not that a crime has occurred, and more likely than not that you're the person who's committed that crime. Of course, as you stand before me today, I presume that you're innocent of these allegations. That presumption of innocence will stay with you through every stage of the proceedings, unless and until the State Attorney's Office is able to prove the allegations against you beyond and to the exclusion of a reasonable doubt. We'll set your conditions of pretrial release this morning, that is your bail or bond. In most cases, you've had a bond set already pursuant to the bond schedule. I'll determine whether that bond should be raised or lowered or left the same, or whether there'll be additional conditions of pretrial release placed upon you. We'll let you know when your next court date will be, and if you'd like to have the services of the public defender, I'll gladly appoint the PD to represent you this morning. You do have a right to have contact with folks on the outside, family, friends, counsel. If you haven't had a chance to make that call, please let me know, and we'll make sure that that happens. Finally, and most importantly, you're advised that you do have an absolute right to remain silent with regard to the facts which surround your arrest. I encourage you to do that. These proceedings are recorded. In addition, there is a pair of assistant state attorneys in the courtroom with me this morning. If you say something that tends to incriminate you, they will use it against you in the prosecution down the road. And I need each and every one of you there at the jail to please raise your right hands and be sworn. Do all solemnly swear affirm, tell truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? Outstanding. When you hear your name called, please step forward to the podium. Justin Fowler.
Morning, Your Honor.
Mr. Brown, hang on a second here. Morning, Justin. What's your date of birth?
August 17th, 1983.
Justin, you're here on a probable cause arrest for violation of community control. There is PC for that allegation. Mr. Brown, what would you like to tell me?
If the court please, Mr. Fowler is an existing client of mine. I can advise the court that our intention is to make an application for participation in the drug court program for him. He has worked hard toward overcoming his addiction, but he has found, as so many have, as the court is well aware, that overcoming an addiction is not something which is easy to do. I think the drug court program would fit him. The only concern which I have at this point is he has medications which were prescribed for him for depression and for anxiety. I believe that he has information in his property at the jail which has the prescription information. We respectfully request that the court direct the jail personnel to look for those prescriptions and to have them checked by the jail medical staff.
Okay. And then, Rachel, is there an earlier date than the 2nd of October to get in front of Judge Merritt?
There's court next week for actually both felony judges.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm boosting way up if we can do that. If he's going to try to get him into drug court sooner,
Yes,
the better.
sir. Thank you.
So the 2nd is, so like next Tuesday, Deanna, is that?
I believe so, yeah. Because I know Wednesday's the holiday, so I
Right.
think Wednesday.
The 25th is 2 weeks. Does that make sense for Judge? That's Judge Merritt?
Well, there
Okay.
should be another one. I thought Judge Merritt was also next week.
On the 18th? All right, well, I'll put it to 9:25. But
Because
that's,
I have cases on 9/20 in front of Judge Merritt.
okay, 9:20? Let's go there. September 20th. So the bond is no bond, Justin. I can't change that. I will move your date to the 20th of September, which is a week from tomorrow, back in front of Judge Merritt, and direct the jail staff to do what they can to make sure that Mr. Fowler is getting the prescription medication that he needs between now and then. All right?
Thank you,
We're
Your Honor.
good. Thank you.
If the court please,
Thanks, sir.
business may be excused.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good day, Jim.
Thanks, Judge.
And Derek Marshall. Morning, Mr. Marshall. What's your date of birth?
2002, September 21st.
Mr. Marshall, you're here this morning on a warrant that was signed by Judge Heineman. He found probable cause for a number of charges. There's a one charge of RICO, one charge of home invasion robbery with a firearm, one count of attempted home invasion robbery with a firearm, one count of home invasion robbery with a firearm, another count home invasion robbery with a firearm, another count attempted felony murder, another count of home invasion robbery with a firearm, burglary of a conveyance with a firearm, dealing in stolen property. There's another warrant also signed by Judge Eineman where he found probable cause for burglary of a conveyance with a firearm. As to those charges, do you wish to represent yourself? You can hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
I have an attorney.
Who's your lawyer?
My dad located him. I don't know his name yet because I just got here.
Okay. Does your lawyer know where you are right now?
I haven't had communication with my father yet, so I don't know.
Okay. And state what you can tell me.
There's not much of a history here.
Obviously.
We have already gone and filed racketeering information underneath with these charges as the underlying offenses. So,
Okay.
obviously, there's a number of violent cases here. We're asking that the bond remain the same. We're obviously prosecuting Mr. Marshall as an adult based on these cases.
Right. All right. Derek, I have an address for you on Ivydale Road in Spring Hill. Is that where you're living?
Yeah,
How long have you been there?
9 months.
Okay. And were you working or still attending school or doing nothing? What was going on?
Attending school.
Okay. Where were you going to school?
Wiki-Wachi High School.
Okay. I'm going to leave your bonds per the warrants, so that's going to be $30,000 on all of those home invasion counts. I think there's 6 of those. $20,000 on the attempted murder, $5,000 burglary conveyance, $5,000 dealing, $10,000 on the racketeering charge. That should be $220,000 there. $25,000 on the burglary, which would get you to $245,000. All those charges are coming back to court on.
I think that was arrested before judges. It's a Judge Merritt case.
Okay, well, then we want to move to 10-2 as a Judge Merritt day, right? We have that. I'll move it to the 2nd of October. Make sure that when you speak to your dad or your lawyer, whoever, you let them know that your court cases are coming back on the 2nd of October, all right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Judge, that concludes my business. Maybe excuse me.
Yes, you may. Have a good day, Robert. Crystal Davis. Want to miss what you did at birth?
11/2/92.
And Crystal, you're here on a warrant that was signed by Judge Scaglione. He found probable cause for 1 count of grand theft auto. As to that charge, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. State what you can tell me.
Judge, the only thing I can tell you at the moment is I believe that's the wrong one. Sorry. Her history is quite extensive. She does have out-of-state history, however, for Florida right now. She has a violation of probation out of Fernando in January, a violation of probation out of Hillsborough in October 2017, a probation violation in March of 2017. It looks like 2016, a bird conveyance, a grand theft auto, and a fleeing. And it looks like she was adjudicated on all of those. In 2016 out of Fernando, I have failure to appear on those cases, as well as another grand theft auto. It looks like it was dropped and she was pledged to just Willis cases. 2016, another grand theft auto that was adjudicated guilty. In 2016, more just traffic type charges,
Okay.
probation violations, and continue on.
That's good. Crystal, I have an address for you on Elgin Boulevard. Is that where you live now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how long have you been there?
Almost 6 years.
Do you have a job these days?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm going to leave the bond at the $2,000. Crystal, I'll have you back in court. It says September 10th.
Thank you.
No, well, that can't be right, because that was 2 days ago. Was it? October 10th. It'll be October 10th. And if you get out, you should contact the public defender right away. If you can't get out, they'll come see you before court, all right?
All right.
Thank you. Kristen Horner? Want to miss what you did at birth?
10/4/88.
Christian, you're here on a warrant that I signed. I found probable cause for a violation of probation. As to that charge, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. Bond on the warrant is no bond. I'm not going to change that. I'll have you back in court on October 10th. PD is going to come see you before then, and we'll see if we can't get your case resolved at that time, okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Michelle Lamb. Morning, Michelle. What's your date of birth?
7283.
All right, I got two issues for you, Michelle. First, I have an arrest here in Hernando County for possession of drug paraphernalia. There's probable cause for that charge. And then we have a warrant for you out of Pasco County. The judge had signed that warrant, found probable cause for a violation of probation. As to the local charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. I'm going to set the bond per the schedule, which is the $1,000. That case will be back in court on the 10th of October, and the public defender will come and see you before you go to court. The bond on the VOP from Pasco, of course, is no bond. I can't change that. My guess is that when you get back to court in October, or before that even, we'll get your paraphernalia case resolved, and then they'll get you to Pasco to deal with the VOP, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Sabrina LaRose. Want to miss what's your date of birth?
5882.
All right, Sabrina, I have possession of methamphetamine, possession of drug paraphernalia, tampering with physical with evidence, and resisting without violence. There's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. State.
Judge, my notes indicate correctly, she was just put on probation from Judge Toner on August 15th of this year.
Okay, Sabrina, did you just go on probation in circuit court?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you even reported yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, what else you got?
Besides those that will be coming down, in 2017, she had a failure to appear and contributing to a minor, or actually parent failure to require school attendance, adjudicated guilty on those. 2014 probation violations, 2014 looks like felony petty theft, 2013 and 12 I have probation violations, 2011 probation violations, no
Okay.
probation violations as we go back and test charges.
Sabrina, I've got an address for you on Van Haven Lane in Brooksville. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
For about 4 months now.
Okay. And leave your bonds for the schedule, which is $5,000 on the meth, $1,000 on the paraphernalia, $5,000 on the tampering, $1,000 on the resisting. That's a total of $12,000. Those cases are coming back on October 10th. However, I will tell you that if you spend any money bonding out, you will probably lose the value of that money because it's a cinch that they're going to swear out an affidavit for violation of probation. That warrant will have no bond on it. So if you get out before that warrant shows up, they're just going to rearrest you and you'll be back in jail without bond. If you stay in, you are likely to get credit for the time that from when you got in with reference to that VOP, but that's up to you. If you do get out, make sure you contact the PD right away. If you don't, they'll come see you before you go to court, okay?
All right.
Thank you. Caitlin Lynch. Want to miss what's your date of birth?
12/28/1990.
Caitlin, this is a probable cause arrest for violation of probation. There is probable cause for the VOP. As to that charge, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. Bond on that is going to be no bond. I'll have you back in court on the 10th of October. Public defender is going to come see you before then, okay? Thank you. Renee Maggio. Want to miss what's your date of birth?
4/17/79.
Renee, the charge is retail theft. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender, please.
Appoint the PD. State.
Judge, in July of this year, I have a probation violation in Citrus County. In 2016, a probation violation. I have an arrest for an aggravated battery with no disposition in 2016. 2014, I have a DSP, petty theft. Looks like those were all ultimately dropped. 2012, I have another aggravated assault and battery that were ultimately dropped, probation violations, and goes back into the 90s.
Okay. And Miss, I have an address for you on East Mimosa Lane in Inverness. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
Just 3 months.
You have a job these days?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm going to leave the bond at the $500. I'll have you back in court on October 10th. If you're able to get out, make sure you contact the public defender's office right away, okay?
Thank you, sir.
You bet. Lana Walker? Morning, Miss Walker. What's your date of birth?
1/20/1961.
All right. Looks like you got served a Hernando County VOP warrant in Pasco County. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender, God.
I'll appoint the PD. Bond on, it looks like it's Judge Merritt's warrant. There's no bond. I can't change that. I'll have you back to see him on the 2nd of October. They may have told you the 10th. You'll be back on the 2nd, and the PD will come see you before then, all right?
Thank you, God.
Thank you. You bet. Sean Algary? Want to start with your date of birth?
1370.
I have a warrant for you signed by Judge Toner. He found probable cause for a fleeing or attempting to elude. I have a second warrant signed by Judge Toner where he found probable cause for a grand theft. I have a third warrant signed by Judge Merritt where he found probable cause for a violation of probation. And then we have a arrest for a battery being domestic in nature, and there's probable cause for that. As to those charges you wish to represent yourself, you're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender, please.
I'm going to appoint the PD. All right. Obviously, the case that's controlling here is going to be that VOP. The bond on that is going to be no bond. That'll be back on the 2nd of October. Then on the other warrants, I will leave the bonds on those per the warrant, which is $2,000 on the grand theft and $2,000 on the fleeing. I'll have those also come back on the 2nd of October so that your circuit court cases are all coming back at the same time. And then, Ms. Serbini, is there any other history of violence? Serbini. How long have you not been Serbini?
I don't even remember that. 2 years.
There you go.
Yes.
Giannini.
Yeah, Jeannie, there we go. That's my last name. Judge, he does have some prior batteries. It looks like majority theft, though, and drug charges. There's also false imprisonment of a child under 13 years of age. Adult, actually, so the adult or child under 13 years of age on here. And that is from 2010, which he served some DOC time for. And like I said, there are just some misdemeanor batteries.
Okay. Then as to the domestic battery, Sean, I'm going to set the bond at $1,000. Condition of that bond is that you do not call or write Danielle Diaz from the jail, so no contact with her from the jail. That case will be back on the 10th of October, and the public defender is going to be back to see you about all your charges before you go to court, all right?
But I believe that's
They charge you with felony.
They charge her with felony.
So it'll be the 2nd of October. Very good. Christopher Asaph? Probably someone knows that. There's a lot. All right, Christopher, what's your date of birth?
7/31/86.
Christopher, first thing I have is a warrant signed by Judge Rupi. She found probable cause for a violation of probation. And then we have a warrant signed by Judge Angelitis. He found probable cause for a felony petty theft. As to those charges you wish to represent yourself, you're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. The bond on the VOP, of course, is no bond. I can't change that. I will change the date. What's Judge Rupi date? Should probably be like the 3rd of October. Right, the 3rd. I'll change the date to the 3rd of October. So you can go back in front of Judge Rupi on that. And then on the circuit court warrant, I'll leave the bond per the warrant, which is $2,000. Appoint the public defender. That one's coming back on the 10th of October. Public defender is going to see about both your cases before you go back to court, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Michael Shire. Michael, what's your date of birth?
2/10/85.
Michael, the charge is possession of drug paraphernalia. And Miss Giannini, I'm not going to find probable cause. I got paraphernalia without drugs and without a field test. So it may be paraphernalia, but we don't know today. So, Michael, I'm not going to find probable cause for your charge. That means you're going to be released on your own recognizance today. You still need to come to court on the 10th of October because it may be that they do have the evidence. They just didn't tell me about it this morning. And it may be that they continue to charge you. Go ahead.
Judge, if I may, in the first paragraph,
Okay.
it say, like substance on which field tested positive for methamphetamine.
Oh, it's up there.
It's up there.
There it is. It's in the to wit, but it's not in the.
Not in the...
It's not in the paragraph. Okay. All right. Sorry, there is probable cause. Sorry, brother. As to that, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire a private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
Appoint the PD. Any history, Steve?
Judge, he has his history is pretty minimal out of the state of Florida with some probation violations, false reports. He did have an aggravated battery that was dropped down to, looks like just a felony battery. And that was all within the last couple of years.
Okay.
And his out-of-state stuff is possession of firearms, trespass, aggravated DUIs, according to New York.
Okay. Michael, I have an address for you on Hallcrest Avenue in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
A couple months.
Do you have a job these days?
Yes, sir.
What do you do?
Good landscaping.
Okay. I'll set your bond at $500. I'll have you back in court on October 10th. If you get out, make sure you contact the public defender, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. James Crockett. Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
6/24/80.
James, this is a charge of driving on a suspended license as a habitual traffic offender. As a felony, there's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire a private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender, please.
I'll appoint the PD, say.
Judge, in August of 2017, I have a failure to appear for a felony driving while license suspended. In 2014, I have a possession of firearm or ammunition by a felon fleeing to elude, and another felony Willis. It looks like he was adjudicated on all of those. In 2013, I have another felony Willis, and another possession of firearm that was ultimately dropped at Willis with adjudications. 2011, I have probation violations. It looks like they were on the misdemeanor level for, or actually felony level for controlled substances and paraphernalia. 2010, I have petty theft, which was adjudicated, as well as a failure to appear, and then more driving charges and stolen properties.
You're good. You're good.
And
You're good.
I have one that where he may be,
So you got status?
I don't know if he has status, Judge.
Because I didn't see it this morning when I looked, so.
I think it got dropped down to a battery second.
Okay, because it wasn't, they red flagged that stuff for us, and I
Yeah.
didn't see it. James, I got an address for you on VFW Road in Brooksville. Is that where you live?
That's my girlfriend's address, yes, sir.
All right. Do you live there?
I just moved in there, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Do you have a job these days?
Yes, sir.
What do you do?
I rent out my apartments.
Okay. We'll leave the bond at the $5,000. I'm going to have you back in court on the 10th of October. Very important that you contact the public defender if you get out, all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Darian Daly. Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
January 14, 2000.
All right, Darian, the charge is grand theft auto. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD, State.
Judge, probation notified me this morning that there is a misdemeanor violation of probation warrant that will be coming. It looks like he just went on probation in the last couple of months.
I was going to say, I recognize it.
Last week.
Yeah, last week. Yeah. Okay. Darian, I have an address for you on Deltona Boulevard in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
No, sir.
Okay, where do you live now, Darian?
I live off Century,
You have an address?
4345 Peacock Road.
Okay. And are you working these days?
Yes, sir.
What do you do?
Tree work.
Okay. Darian, I'm going to leave your bond at the $2,000. Probation tells me that they're going to have an affidavit for a violation of probation. That means a VOP warrant is coming for you. The bond on that warrant will be no bond, so before you spend money bonding out on this charge, you might want to think about that, because if you do
Your
that,
Honor,
you
can I
can.
speak real quick?
Sure.
How could I get a violation of probation if this charge was being built against me before?
You can't if it's before. I'm just telling you it might happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just saying, okay? Because I'm just trying to give you a fair warning, because if you spend money and get out, and I don't want you to feel like I didn't tell you something, all right?
Yes, sir. Can I say something else one
Sure.
more time? Well, I didn't think you were going to cut my bond in half or anything like that. Well, today's the day that my last day to pay rent. I literally pay rent at my own house. My listed address is at my mom's house, but I don't really stay there often. I live with my stepmom. I pay rent, and they said today's the last day before I get evicted. I was wondering if I could request the ROR. My little sister, they're gonna be put on the street, so they gonna take them out the house, all the furniture out the house. They basically.
Darren, all of those things concern me. There's no doubt about that. The other thing that concerns me is that you have all those responsibilities, and now you got a grand theft charge, and I just put you on probation last week, so I'm going to leave the bond right where it is. You'll be back in court on the 10th of October. Have a seat, Darren. We're all done.
All right.
Jamie Davis? Morning, Jamie. What's your date of birth?
8/20/92.
All right. Jamie, I have driving on a suspended license, possession of cocaine, and introduction of contraband into a detention facility. There's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you wish to represent yourself, you want to hire private counsel, or would you like the public defender?
Well, mind I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Because, they didn't read Miranda rights.
Okay, well, that only matters if they ask you questions, and I found probable cause based on physical evidence, not anything you said.
More or less, sir, is that if the officer checked the pocket, and then checked twice, actually.
Okay, I'm going to appoint the public defender. State, can you tell me about his history? Be quiet, please, now.
Judge, he currently has an open DUI out of Pinellas County from July of
Right,
this
and
year.
charged them.
In 2014, I have a probation violation of burg dwelling and a grand theft. It looks like the burglary was dropped and the grand theft he was adjudicated on. And then in 2012, I have cocaine possession, he was adjudicated in a paraphernalia charge, and that's all I say at this time.
All right. And, sir, I have an address for you, Northeast 12th Avenue in Ocala. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
Well, right now, just moved over here to Spring Hill, but don't know the address. But I lived there for about 3 years now.
Okay, do you have a job these days?
Yes, sir, I'm a barber.
Say that again?
Single father. I'm a barber,
Okay,
a single father, also an artist.
okay. I'm going to leave your bonds per the schedule, which is $1,000 on the driving and $2,000 on 2 felony charges. The total's 5. You'll be back in court on October 10th. If you get out, you should contact the public defender right away,
It's a
okay?
money thing now.
Thank you. Sergio Garzon? Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
Sorry, sir. 9/10/91.
First thing I have for you is a warrant that I signed. I found probable cause for a violation of probation. I then have 3 new charges: driving on a suspended license, driving an unregistered motor vehicle, and providing false name. There's probable cause for those. As to all of your charges, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender, please.
I'll appoint the PD. On the new charges, I'm going to leave the bond per the schedule, which is $1,000 on each, for a total of 3. Those are coming back October 10th.
Okay.
The bond on the VOP, of course, is no bond. I'm not going to change that. That will also be coming back on the 10th of October. The public defender is going to come see you before that court date, and hopefully we'll get your case resolved then, okay?
I have a question. Is there any way we can move the court date any sooner? Because I work and I have my 2 kids, and I'm just going to get this over with as soon as I can.
Okay, well, I can tell you that the answer to your case is going to be some term in the county jail. The recommendation from probation on your BOP is 60 days. So when you come back on the 10th, you will be way inside 60 days. So you want to talk to the lawyer first because maybe, and I'm not saying they can, but maybe they can get you something less than 60 days, okay?
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Wilbur Guerra. Want to, sir, what's your date of birth?
October 1st, 1989.
So you're here on a warrant signed by Judge Merritt. Apparently you were supposed to be in his court on September 6th.
Yes, sir.
And the charges are battery on a Leo, battery on a Leo, battery Leo, assault Leo, assault Leo. Did you have the public defender on those cases, Wilbur?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Judge Merritt, unfortunately, has set your bond at no bond on all those charges. I can't change that. I'll send you back to see him on the 2nd of October, and the public defender will come see you before that, okay? Thank you. Jacob Hess. Jacob, what's your date of birth?
2/16/83.
Jacob, I have 5 charges this morning: possession of controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia, operating a motor vehicle with not allowed with driver's license, unregistered motor vehicle, and no motorcycle endorsement. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself, you want to hire a private counsel, would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender, please.
I'll appoint the PD, Steve.
Judge, it looks like he's possibly on probation out of Lake County
Okay.
for felony Willis and marijuana charges.
Right.
And then I have out-of-state history that is not the easiest to read. But it looks like I have dealing in marijuana. He was adjudicated guilty on corrupt business influences, out-of-state theft charges, domestic batteries, and then other theft and drug charges that were ultimately dismissed.
Okay. Jacob, I have an address for you on Broad Street here in Brooksville. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
2 months.
Do you have a job these days?
Yes, Eagle Creek Masonry.
Okay. I'm going to leave your bonds per the schedule, which is $2,000 on the aprazolam, $1,000 on the paraphernalia, and $500 on each of the driving charges. That's $4,500. I'll have you back in court on the 10th of October. If you get out, you should contact the public defender right away, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Now,
Go ahead.
bondsman?
Bruce Lesson? Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
6/1/78.
Charge is battery being domestic in nature. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire a private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll point to PD. State what you can tell me.
Judge, I was informed this morning that it looks like he is on misdemeanor probation out of this county.
Okay.
So that will probably be forthcoming. That's the only thing I see for Florida, and then I have some stuff in the 90s from out of state.
Okay. All right. And Bruce, I have an address for you on Pinehurst Drive in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Still current, yes.
How long have you been there?
2 years.
And Mr. Culver lives there as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have a job these days?
I'm disabled.
Okay.
They won't let me work.
Okay. You set your bond at $500. Condition of the bond, however, is that you have no contact with Mr. Culver. No contact means no contact of any kind. You don't call, you don't write, you don't email, you don't text message, you don't contact him through any social media. Don't go where he lives, don't go where he works. You don't have any contact of any kind. Any way that you might imagine contacting him, I forbid you to do that. If you do contact him and we find out about it, your bond will be revoked and you'll be held without bond until the charges are resolved. It means no contact even if he wants to contact. So if you answer your phone and hear his voice, you should hang up. If you're out and about and see him, you should turn around and run the other way. You need to understand that he cannot drop the charges against you. That's not a decision he's allowed to make. He may go to the state attorney's office and ask them to drop the charges. He may tell them that he's not interested in pursuing this matter. But that decision belongs solely to the assistant state attorney handling your case. So unless that person or the judge on your case tells you the charges are dropped, you should assume they are not dropped and you should not have contact. In addition, I've got to hold you until 4 p.m. today so that if you wanted to serve you with a civil injunction for protection against domestic violence, we'd know where to find you. If you get the civil injunction, it's doubly important that you not have contact because in that case, not only would you get your bond revoked here, but you could get new charges for violating the injunction. As far as that home on Pinehurst Drive goes, as long as he stays there, you'll have to stay someplace else until we get this case resolved. You may go by one time to collect your things, your clothes, your toothbrush, whatever it is you need for wherever you plan to stay. To do that, however, you must contact the sheriff's office first. They would meet you there with a deputy, and you'd have a few minutes to grab your things and go where you're going. If he has decided to stay somewhere else, I don't have a problem with you going back there. I'll have you back in court on the 10th of October. Very important that when you get out, you contact the public defender's office right away. I've also been informed that you're currently on misdemeanor probation, so I'll let you know that it's likely that they will be swearing out an affidavit for a VOP. And if you spend money getting out on this charge, you may be out that money when that VOP warrant comes down because that will have a bond of no bond, all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Michael Lisk. Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
9/13/87.
Michael, I have a warrant for you signed by Judge Angelitis. He found probable cause for retail theft. And then we have new arrest for a retail theft and resisting merchant's efforts. There's probable cause for all three of those charges. As to those charges, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender? Appoint the PD, Steve.
Judge, in 2017, I had adjudication on a paraphernalia charge and a dropped grand theft auto. In 2016, I have a probation violation. In 2016, I have a possession of controlled substance and paraphernalia. Looks like he was adjudicated on those. 2016, I have a DV battery by strangulation that was dropped. 2013, I have a bird dwelling adjudicated on that. In 2011, I have a violation of conditional release, and that was for another domestic battery by strangulation. I have another battery in 2011 in disorderly conduct and criminal mischiefs and child Leos that all go back into 2010. And then before that, some probation violations and drug charges, and it also indicates an out-of-state history, but I don't currently have that.
Okay. And Michael, you've been staying any place particular or living outdoors? What's going on?
Just kind of bouncing around.
Okay. Do you have a job these days?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm going to leave your bonds for the schedule, which is $500 on each of the three charges for a total of $15. They're all coming back October 10th. If you can get out, you should go see the PD. Otherwise, they'll come see you at the jail, all right?
There's no way we can handle this today.
If you handle it today, I imagine it's going to be an offer of some sort of jail sentence from the state attorney's office. How much?
We would be looking at 60 days.
It'd be 60 days if you take it now, Michael. You might as well speak to the lawyer and see if you can get something better than that.
All right.
All right. Todd Maggio? Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
7/17/1981.
Todd, the two charges of retail theft and possession of drug paraphernalia, there's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Vote right, please, Your Honor.
I'll point to PD, State.
Judge, we haven't had a state history in Georgia from the early 2000s. It looks like an obstructing and a disorderly conduct. As far as Florida, I have some failure to appear in 2014, probation violations 2015, and it looks like he possibly was in the Department of Corrections at some point after that. Then 2013, I have retail theft. That was ultimately dropped. I have another theft in 2014 where he was adjudicated guilty. marijuana, failure to appear, and paraphernalia in 2013, adjudicated guilty on those. Drop battery in 2011, probation violations going back into the early 2000s. I have a possession with intent to sell of methamphetamine, adjudication was held in 2008, and more batteries
Okay.
before that.
Todd, I have an address for you on East Mimosa Lane in Inverness. Is that where you live?
Yes, Your Honor.
How long you been there?
About 3 months.
Do you have a job these days?
I'm 100% disabled veteran.
Set your bonds at $500 on each count. I'll have you back in court on the 10th of October. Very important that you contact the public defender if you get out, all right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Daniel Musin. Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
579?
And it's a PC arrest for 2 counts of violation of drug offender probation. There is probable cause for those. As to those charges, you're going to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the public defender. Bond, of course, is going to be no bond. I'll have you back in court. You got put on probation in Manatee County. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. It'll be no bond. We will contact Manatee County, let them know that you're here and ready to go because you got to go back there to deal with the VOP. They'll have 5 days to come get you. If you're still here in 5 days, they'll bring you back to see me and I'll find out what the holdup is, all right?
All right.
Thank you. George Nash? Morning, Mr. Nash. What's your date of birth?
1984.
All right. I have today possession of methamphetamine and possession of drug paraphernalia. There's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
And it looks like George has open felony cases.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And I have the return date, then Rachel was 9/24, where his opens are coming. Okay. All right, so George, here's what we're going to do. On these cases, I'll appoint the public defender, leave the bonds per the schedule, which is $2,000 on the meth and $1,000 on the paraphernalia. However, job number 1 when you're out on bond on criminal cases, which it appears to me that you are, is don't pick up new charges. It appears to me that you have. Therefore, pursuant to Florida Statute 903.0471, I'm going to revoke your bonds in case number 18 CF 959. So you're going to be on no bond at least until you get back to the court on the 24th of September. That's where your old case is. I'm going to send your new cases also to that date. If Judge Toner wants to reinstate your bond, he'll be able to do that, but you'll be without bond until the 24th. PD will come see you before that, okay?
All right.
Thank you. Todd Ryder? Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
9982.
Todd, you're here on a warrant signed by Judge Rupi. She found probable cause for a violation of probation. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. Bond on that warrant is no bond. I can't change that. I'm going to send you back to see Judge Rupi on the 3rd of October. They told you the 10th. It'll be the 3rd. PD will come see you before then, okay? Thank you. Cedric Walker. Morning, Cedric. What's your date of birth?
1877.
All right, Cedric, this is a violation of the conditions of pretrial release. Was his case must have been on a docket then somewhere, right?
Yes.
It's 16 CF 228.
I don't know if it's that or it's a...
Or it's from it's a parole maybe. You on parole, Cedric?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, there we go. Then what happens is that I hold you without bond until the folks at DOC decide what they want to do with you.
So we can't get this resolved today?
I can't. Cedric, I would if I could. Well, because I think think we all know where we're headed, but it's that sort of thing. I think what happens is they notify the Department of Corrections, and they're going to come get you, I think is all that's going to happen.
Judge, this was actually signed by this probation officer,
Right.
this parole officer, so I'm assuming things should be a little quicker than normal. But
It'll go fast, but he's not going back to court, and he's not entitled to a counsel or anything like that. Let's set it for a status. Set it for a 15-day status, Rachel. So, Cedric, I'll set it for a status in 15 days so that they'll come get you and get this going. If you're still here in 15 days, then they'll bring you back to see me, and we'll find out what's taking so long, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Without
Thank you.
Yep. Ryan Walker? Ryan, what's your date of birth?
2/10/1991.
All right, Ryan, the charge is retail theft. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
I'll take a public defender.
I'll appoint the public defender. State what you tell me.
Judge, if I may have Madam Clerk verify, but I believe he has an, I don't know if this is the case or if he has an open case with the Ford 2018 MN 2861. And it looks like, and I don't know, I don't have everything in front of me, so I don't know if it's all states if it'll RCA or not. But I believe it's also for theft, battery, and resisting, merchant resisting without violence.
Say it again.
9-4.
Is the offense date?
And this is 9. I think this might have
This is 9/2.
Yeah.
This is based on a video. Yeah. Okay. But I can send it back to 10/5, so at least they're in the same place. Okay. Very good. Then I'll leave the bond at the $500. I'll move this to October 5th, where your other case already is. If you get out, make sure you contact the public defender right away, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And Melvin Stevenson. Morning again, Melvin. Date of birth?
2/24/62, sir.
Melvin, as it turns out, we have a warrant for you from Hernando County for a violation of probation. Judge Merritt signed it and found probable cause. You want the public defender in that case?
Yes, sir.
I'll appoint the PD. Bond is no bond. I will have you go back and see Judge Merritt on October 2nd. Public defender will come see you before that, okay?
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Sure can.
Who was my probation officer in Hernando County?
I don't know that you had one in Hernando County, but you sure as heck got sentenced in Hernando County.
I got transferred. It got transferred to Pasco County.
I know, but you always come back home. See, when you VOP, you go back to wherever you started from. Wherever you got transferred, the VOP comes back to the judge that sentenced you.
Yes, sir, but I didn't.
All right, thanks, Melvin. Thanks, folks.
Mr. Larison brought up to me a James Hubbard that I believe there was a keep issued and they just needed to recall.
Yeah, correct. I was in contact with Mr. Hubbard before his court date, told him I'd waive his appearance.
And then
I thought I did a written plea, and I didn't. I'd asked you to ROR him on the case, my court date.
Because he doesn't have a court date right now. Well,
Right.
we could just notify him, too.
Yeah, well, I'm in contact with the family, so
Okay.
it's not a problem.
What's the case number, Alan?
It's 18 MM 2552,
Did he have a bond that we revoked?
and I'm not sure. We couldn't get online this morning.
Okay.
Just to verify that was Hubbard.
Hubbard, 18MM 2552. Okay, so that makes it easier. So I'll recall the capias, put him on for the 11th of October for a pretrial conference, clerk to notify.
Thanks, Judge.
Yeah, tell him to lay low for a couple days. All right, anything else? Awesome.